So if you're a fan of IndyCar, you've probably seen all the controversy with the push to pass, Team Penske, the drivers at St. Pete. That's covered very well. But I think what I really want to focus on in this video is probably the even more disturbing, the more conflict of interest part of everything is the whole Roger Penske owning everything, right? Because I think this is a real fundamental base layer that's gonna really slow down or just doesn't allow you to have a clear view of what you want to do and what you want to accomplish if you own so many things. So with the push to pass thing, obviously one of the main things that just came out was that Team Penske has suspended 4 other key personnel. One of them being Tim Cindric. They won't be doing any activities in the month of May for the Indy Grand Prix and then the Indy 500. Now let's get real. They'll probably still be involved somehow on the back end of things, right? Like I don't think Cindric and the other people are gonna be like, all right, well I'll just I'll be at home watching the race. That's not happening. They're gonna be doing something on the backside, on the back end, where they're still helping and doing things. That just kind of in every sport, if you get suspended, you don't not help. You just aren't there in the area you're supposed to be in. So I think obviously they're still gonna help out. And I saw a lot of people talk about they should fire the staff instead of suspending them. I'll be a little lenient there, just because if you look at make sure the mic's on. If you look at any other sporting series of any kind, like it's very rare that you fire someone. Now I'm not agreeing with it, so to speak, but more so if I'm basing it off of other sporting organizations, whether it's NBA, MLB, NFL, whether it's Premier League, whether it's Champions League, whether it's anything else, it's you don't ever get fired from like cheating or like look at there's so many instances of cheating or doing something in the gray area where you don't get fired. You just get heavily fined, or you get suspended, or you get something, but you don't necessarily get fired. That is, of course, like unless it's like an actual criminal offense or something, then that's different because it's now a legal battle or criminal, not so much just this racing series that's going on. So aside from that, I think that's okay, just because basing it off of other examples in other organizations. Now, again, the bigger topic is like the conflict of interest between Roger Penske, Team Penske, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and IndyCar. And I think this is what's gonna slow down or really just hurt the series a lot more than anything, because when Roger Penske purchased the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, along with it came IndyCar, and along with it came Indy Lights, which is now referred to, or it's now Indy Next, Indy NXT. And with that, is this like, and this is from the interview that Marshall Pruitt did with Roger Penske of you have Team Penske, the racing team, you have the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you have IndyCar. And Penske Entertainment is a holding company for those 3, right? So when Roger Penske is talking about, hey, like the whole push to pass thing that happened, that's a Team Penske problem, not a Penske Entertainment problem, right? Because those are technically 2 different teams, right? The holding company is different than Team Penske. And he's come out saying, hey, look, like I'm not involved with IndyCar. The decisions that they do, the meetings that they hold, that's all separate. I don't go there. But the problem is that you own everything, though, right? Like, and you can say, yeah, sure, there's a separation between me and those teams, but like, your name's on everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to think that there's no, the water isn't muddy because you're the boss man of everything. Now, shout out to IndyCar for being able to drop the hammer down on the boss, right? But even that is still a little, it doesn't give you that confidence that everything is being done to the T, because if everything is being done to the T, or if you want to bring something up, or if you want to change something, or if you want to do anything, you need to talk, or you need to get approval from the owner that owns all of this, right? And again, like if and look at it in any other situation, right? If the NFL owned its own team and that team is playing a game and a referee does not call a pass interference or does not call roughing the passer or does not call something on the quarterback, right? It doesn't matter if those calls are going both ways and the referees just suck. The angle, the perspective, the way everything will be talked about is how the referees are favoring the NFL team because the NFL owns that franchise. It's just the way things go. That's just the way the narrative will be played out. If you're playing anything, right? It doesn't matter what league it is, and you own a team in that series, and the owner and the series owns a team, you would just be naturally looked at in an unfavorable position. It's just the way it is. So right now, Roger Penske, he is in a very bad situation that he put himself, because look, he owns team Penske Entertainment, and Penske Entertainment is a holding company for IndyCar, I believe so, IndyCar, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Team Penske. And Team Penske, right, has a team. It has 3 cars, I think 3 cars in IndyCar. They have a team in IMSA and World Endurance Championship with the Porsche 963. You have a team in NASCAR, right? So then what's even crazier is that, okay, look, now, you know, at Long Beach Grand Prix, NASCAR was kind of in talks of owning the Long Beach Grand Prix, which means they probably boot off IndyCar from the schedule and put it on the NASCAR schedule, right? And NASCAR owns IMSA, right? So you had IMSA on Saturday, NASCAR on Sunday. And again, like what just keeps on making the water even muddier is that, so like NASCAR drives, you know, they have a race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Penske has a team in NASCAR. Penske has a team in IMSA. But NASCAR will boot out IndyCar from the Long Beach Grand Prix, and would that make Roger Penske, feel some kind of way? And then will he try to not retaliate, but like, will he have a little chip on his shoulder and boot out NASCAR from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Of course not, because that's like the big money maker, right? And it just again, like, you know, you can speculate all you want, but like, this is what makes the messiness. This is what makes it hard to grow anything. Because like, if I own, well, I do own a business, right? So if I own a business, right, and I own the IndyCar series, right, is my focus to grow the IndyCar series or to make my team successful in IndyCar? Because if you try to do both, it's just, one, again, it makes the waters very dirty in terms of the optics just doesn't seem clear. But then 2, like, where are your resources going, right? Like, what is your goal? Because again, like, he also owns the IMS, right? So it's like, you want to grow IMS because you own it and you want to make money and you just need to operate that. That is an actual tangible thing that has a lot of costs associated to it, right? So you want to get attendance up at IMS every single year. And, you know, and then you want to grow IndyCar, right? And that's a whole separate, and each one is separate in its own way. To grow IndyCar and grow its fan base and grow everything is much different than growing, than making sure your race teams are successful and they're getting the proper resources and things are going the right direction. And then you want to make sure that the IMS is also growing and being successful. That's just too many hands in one thing, and like, it doesn't allow to be clear vision on like what's happening. And again, you can say, well, they have what's that dude's name that runs Team Penske? That runs IndyCar, Jim Fire. I forget the guy's name. And you can say, yeah, hey, there's a president in place. I don't have any involvement with IndyCar. They do everything themselves. Like, I'm separated. I'm not in the meetings. I don't have any input. It's like, sure, of course, yes, fantastic. But the problem is, when something major has to change, when something has to be brought up, they have to get, not approval, but hey, remember, like, if we make these decisions, boss man Roger Penske is the one that has to oversee it, or he's the one that makes the calls, right? Or he's the one that gets the final say so, or what? Because it's still Roger Penske that owns everything. Now, for American sports, there's a lot of things people don't like about it. If you're kind of looking like from the European side, like people like from the Premier League, Champions League, all those, where you basically like remember when they tried to make the Super League for the Premier League? I think it was Premier League where they make the Super League, where basically it's just like the NFL, NBA, where you have a set number of franchises that play, and that's all they play against, right? That's basically what we have here. But at a minimum, at least it is a franchise where you are able to build value in each team, and because you have billionaires owning these franchises, right? They do get a lot of power and say so in the series in terms of what's happening or what's going on, or what they want to do, or if they want to allow a team in, or if they want to change a certain rule. They get with team owners, the billionaires, because they're kind of putting up all the money. And there is this process that they go through to say, hey, we want, not that they always get their way, but like, hey, we want this, we want that. There's the open line of communication, and there's a process in place, more importantly, of like, hey, this is what we kind of want. You don't get any of that in IndyCar. Why? Because there's one person that owns it, Roger, right? You can say Penske and say Roger owns it, right? So he gets to make the calls at the end of the day, right? No matter how much someone complains, this team owner, this driver, it's whatever, they don't have a say so in it at all. The best that they can do is just like not get on the grid, right? But again, like, because you have no power, like, everyone would have to agree to not get, basically a NBA lockout, and you have to not get on that. But then again, like, is there revenue loss from the sponsorship? Do you not get paid out because Roger's not going to hold back the money because you guys didn't drive? So there's a lot of things that you can't do because you have no sense of power. You don't have any power as a team owner or a driver, because the guy that owns the business is Roger Penske, and he doesn't pass down any power. And again, like, how it would play out, like the best form because you do want to put, obviously from a fan's perspective, not the owner's perspective, because the owner wants to own it, right? He always wants the power. He doesn't want to give 51% over to the team or the series. Like, he wants to own it all, right? Because imagine one day, imagine if the owners had 51% say so in the series in terms of what happens, and then this kind of controversy comes out, and they're like, okay, well, all teams voted, and we think that you should be suspended for the remaining of the season. You don't want that. Oh, the owner, Roger Penske, doesn't want that. So you do put a lot of power into everyone else, and you kind of now are on the back burner. But again, like, that's what makes everything so muddy. Like, that's what you want in a series, to make sure that everyone is on the same playing field and everyone's on the same page in terms of like what's going on. But if you have your hand in everything, it's like, well, you can't really do much. Like, you're always gonna be at the crosshairs of having a conflict of interest, because it just there's no clear separation of what's happening. Like, you are in everything, right? Like, it's like if all the team owners wanted to talk about, everyone wants to get together and kind of just have a little, have an hour dinner together, and everyone's, grabbing a beer and drinking, and all, everyone's talking about the car entries and whatever. But if Roger Penske is there, because he is a team owner, everyone is not going to say what they want, because you have the team owner there, you have the series owner there, you have the IMS owner there, you have the guy that runs the Indy 500 there, right? Like, you can't just have an open communication with everyone and just say what you want to say and act like how you want to act, because you don't have a team owner there. You have the owner that owns everything, that controls a lot of things. And it's like, you just can't do what you want to do. And that's the thing with motorsports, is like, there is a lot of conflict of interest with a lot of things, right? Like, look at F1, and there's 10 teams, but you only have, 4 manufacturers: Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, and someone else, I think, right? Everyone else, you buy their engine from the manufacturer. So that in itself is already like, okay, that's kind of funny. Or maybe like Red Bull also owning Racing Bulls, and they're supposed to be separate. There is no connection, but like, come on, like, when the higher ups are looking at the P&L, they still have Racing Bulls on their spreadsheet, looking at their operating costs, right? So there's a lot of conflict of interest everywhere, but I want to say this one takes the cake in terms of like, bro is in everywhere, and it's really not allowing you to grow anything, because it's not just one singular goal of like, hey, we want to grow IndyCar to this number of viewership, this amount of revenue. It's like, oh, we want, oh, but I also have this, oh, but my team, oh, but I also need the it's too much going on. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your opinion in the comment section down below.